You gotta get it. Lift her up, Willie.
Hi. Hello, I'm Willie Alexander, and I'm honored to be here at the Grolier tonight to introduce these two gentlemen. This place, I first came in here probably in 1958 or 59 when I was a high school beatnik. And I came to Harvard Square to find the 47 Club because there was a jazz priest named Father O'Connor on TV, and he was talking about the 47 Club, and there's jazz there. And so I said, yeah. And so I came to Harvard Square to go to the 47 Club. Found that, and I was there every weekend for like 4 years or something. And I came up the street, and this was here, and they had, it was Gordon was here, and there was a couch there and a big table here with books. And there's like 1,000 more books here now than was back then. Mostly they were on the table, I think. And then in the 60s, did I come in here in the 60s a little bit? And then in the 70s, Louisa was here, and she let me put my promo sheets in the window. And she had me play with my Persistence of Memory Orchestra at the 70th reunion of this place. So I played outside, so I feel real attached to this place. You know, I started getting all like Kerouac and all these floating worlds and all of these literature books, Charles Olson and all this stuff. That, you know, and I liked poetry and stuff, and that's why I came in here, and Harvard Square, and had friends here and stuff. And then, yeah. And having these guys ask me to introduce them, it's like, you know, well, who am I? I just beatnik kid to come in here. And it's like another, ended up writing Mass Avenue and all this kind of stuff. So it's like, you know, it's sort of, that was my poetry, I guess. And anyway, I've met these guys in the last couple of decades. I met Jim when there was a reading of Howl for some radio station,
FNX, yeah.
FNX.
Wow.
And then I met Garrett. A few years later, he came to town to go to a birthday party of Garrett Lansing's, and Garrett died instead of having the party. Yeah. And so I knew Garrett, and he knew these guys, and these guys became great poets. They kept writing and writing. They got about a dozen books between them, and that's something else. So it's like this place is pretty important to me, just as a place, and I'm honored to do this. These guys are great, and the thing about these guys too, they write their own stuff, but they also promote other guys too, like John Wieners and Shively, people that didn't get a lot of credit, you know. So that's a great thing. And they both wrote poems about me. Too. What the fuck? So I was like, well, holy shit. So it's like, I really don't have much to say, though. Let them say what they have to say, because they're really great poets and writers and good people. And that's what all this meant to me, was good stuff. So I'm glad it's still here, and it's got a new owner. And it's just like 4 owners now I've seen coming in and out of here, but it's like, it's still kind of holy in here. It's a good thing. So enjoy yourselves. Cheers, guys.
Thank you. She's a great guy.
Thanks, Willie. That was beautiful. Thank you all for coming on this night. Thanks, James. And it's really, and thanks, Garrett, for asked me to read with them. I'm very privileged and honored to be here. Thank you all, sincerely. It's a weird night, with a couple years ago I saw this rock and roller, and it was on the night of the invasion of Ukraine. And she said, I'm beside myself. I don't know what to do with the world. The only thing I can do is what I know how to do. So, and she put on one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. So the community is all we have. Things may change a little bit what's going on there, but we have to stick together, and through poetry, through friendship, and through, through our own personal creativity, hopefully we can band together and survive all this. Willie mentioned I did write a poem for him for his 80th birthday. I'll be writing one for his 90th at the TD Bank Garden in about 7 years. And it was a beautiful night. And this is the poem. The soul and the sound of the man with the dancing hands. From Bass Rocks to the slippery cliffs of Rafe's Chasm, I hear the resounding ringing of your Afro-Cuban rhythm. It's the beat, way down to your shoes. It's the beat to keep, it's the Beatitudes, it's the beat in the heart. It's being beaten down in the world, and in the rhythm of your rocking, and the roll of your soul. The rhythm of the breeze, the roll of the sea, the rhythm of the rhyming sirens of the rocks, the roll of the waves, the rhythm of the beating wings, the roll of the sun arriving on the horizon, from the last echo of the velvet night to the first light of morning. You, luminous, white light, white heat of the bright bulb, bursting forth from the blinding flash shock of your locks, shooting flames from your head in the twinkling glimmer of your saintly left eye, squinting to see the heavenly vision of you as the granddaddy of everything, right about music, at the time of all time, the jittery strangeness of a habitual outsider, faded in France, a new rose blooming, washing cosmic Café Florian dishes in Kenmore Square. You can hear the rumbling shining through, but the soul has a sound, and the sound has a view. The sound of the rumble is you. Standing jackknifes, legs splayed, slouched behind your graffitied keyboard, hands dancing in unison on the sunny side of a soaring soul. In Salem with the preacher. In the Universalist Church with circling angels. In the cathedral in Lowell with Herbert Huncke and Patti Smith. In the Rat with the radio heart. In the Cape Ann courtyard with the sea serpent sculpture. In Paradise with Yola Tango. I got it. Willie's got it. We all got it. He catches it casually, strolling on the stage, ripping through the fub's frenzy, sounding an ancient alarm, a wild man still standing, a bold man with a butterfly on his right shoulder, a man of many collages, a man painting his dreams. The first man to play the Tea Party, the last man played on BCN, a man for the rock of ages who is ageless, who grows younger in the timeless fountain of his muse. O sonic youth, O sonic vinegar, O sonic boom. Boom, boom, gaga. All things go underground with Garrett and Glee. Farini well framed by the festive sounds of the Fisheye brothers. Life is the poem. The poem is Willie. Willie is the life. The haunted life. The rock and roll life. The life of this party. The life of a man with the dancing hands, with the soul and the sound. The seagulls sing, laughing through this seaside town. Willie. There you go. Thank you. I did this thing. My friend Linda Norton was doing these centos during the pandemic, and I thought I would cento myself. So I took the best line from every poem, and I put this together. As dreams go. Through the windows as dreams go, lightning in the assassin's scope. Now, death stays on the other side of the street. Freedom from fear, filled with mountains of air. Dirty secrets with jets of holy water, hammering me home. The lioness leaps and becomes an acrobat on loan. His message obvious to his captor, upon vessels unburdened and free. Broken chains with some freeing strains of deep space. I am a common man, a man of time, choking on the sweet syllables of God, the splintering plank of hate, where ashes floated like dreams above blue flames. The day started as an ocean and ended as a star, like the sure shadow of sin billowing with bursts of angel fumes, carrying the one through the maze of eights. It all adds up to long division, the ringing bell of the throng inside your clocking tides. Now, the season of the furnished dream. The murderer holds the lantern, soft pillow of abandoned hope. Tudor City trash trucks eat green doors at daybreak. We've got this time, the eruption of volcanic souls standing upon the bare knuckles of the Holy Coast. It is what we feared, miles of beating wings, no measure, a circumference of infinity. The sun is born to align ourselves with the stars, like dreamless sleep or interrupted ecstasies. Count the losses, measure a bottomless hole, led by glorious horses frozen in mid-gallop. A crucifix switchblade, the knife of our Lord, around your ascending star, showing you the pleasure of the golden path. Angels rise at your soul's request. They dance on the clouds of your baby's breath. Shine, heaven, darken and shine, that the process may stir as things emerge. Play it by ear when it hits the tongue. Rejoice in the hosanna in the highest register of angelic voices in heaven's symphony. From the empty vessel we now sail aimlessly upon, on troubled waters, searching the horizon for the magic words. Whispers carry the seeds of a new tongue home. Each echo fainter and sadder as the spirit ebbs and flows, eventually, at last, into the sea of silent souls. Wow. That was the best line of every poem I ever wrote. Excuse me, thank you. And this poem is from my friend Joe. I write elegies for the living and the dead. I write elegies for everyone. So this is an elegy for the living man. From Somerville to Somerset. The sun sets not on you. Maybe the raging water knows how many tears are in a drop of river rain. How many cries are in a train whistle blast. There's nothing better, nothing bitter about parading around the grounds, laying low at low tide, letting the blasted boulder sink into the silty river mud. Footsteps or tall buildings, seagulls scrape the sky. We walk amongst them, gathering silent laughter into a bouquet of proses, lines written, lines drawn, and sandy hands of the pleading sea. I think the last time I was here, believe it or not, for a reading, I can remember, was 11 years ago, and it was just a day or two after my brother died. I was sitting here with Fanny. I can't remember who read it. I was kind of numb. And I said, Fanny says, "What the hell are you doing here?" And I said, I didn't know what to do, so I just came to the reading. I said, "What should I do?" She says, "You should write about your brother. Write and write and write about your brother." So I went home and wrote this. So this is for Fanny and my brother. An alliance with the silence. When you make a pact with yourself and whisper the secret prayer in the city of sacraments, sacred city, Sacramento, lawns freshly mown at the mercy of the sadness of the sun. The smell of cut grass mingles with the pungent punch of burnt rope. The deadline has passed. Filing a different kind of no return, claiming ghost dependence, leaving not one word. Signed silent treaty with your lemon demon diplomats. Warring nations ceasefire. I won't fight it anymore. I will swing like a trance. I won't flutter moth-like in ruined shadows. I will swing from heaven on a beam of light. When you promise yourself you're not fooling anyone, and you speed fantastic like a jester, tripping in secret visions that chase you down the golden highways of the technicolor rainbow break, the heightened suspense of the collapsing mine, state your case in certain terms, spooking the man on the stand being interrogated by a bare bulb. Seeing is I'm leaving. The truth is out there. Let it in. A slip kid running in slow motion, chasing down a fly ball. Makes the catch of a lifetime before the blast of hot air and the explosion of pure pursuit. Curious child, looks like a wild refugee, almond eyes, fine straight black hair, fine as darkness, black as soft rain. Sweet kid with a put the hammer down left hook, fierce fire consuming his matchstick mind, tinder and kindling going up in mad smoke. A sudden burst of fury, then the rain on scorched earth sings, the smoldering passion of his torched heart. This is for my friend Bill, another elegy. I write with numbers in my head. Hey, Gabe. Gabe's here. Thanks for making Gabe drove all even Socrates just to be here, so thank you, Gabe. This is for Bill Corbett. 1 and 8. I was wading in the ocean waters in Chip Bottom, New Jersey, when I heard, in the tide, in the waves, Bill Corbett had passed away. It was 8/10/18. The numbers stung with the singing feeling of loss. 8 and 10, 18. 1/8, 1/8, 18. 9 and 9 take us back. A solitary figure and infinity. Crazy eights and the missing one. Carry the one through the maze of eights. The Hebrew word kai, meaning life, has a numerical value of 18. Joseph Heller, originally titled Catch 22, Catch 18 for the Hebrew significance of the number. Ulysses has 18 chapters. There are 18 chapters in the Bhagavad Gita, which is part of the Mahabharata, which has 18 books. The tarot card 18, the moon, dripping tears. The Virgin Mary appeared holy to Bernadette a total of 18 times. I'll throw this in there. The Celtics have won the NBA championship 18 times. 18 years ago, Bill toasting John Wieners at 9 Columbus Square, champagne and caviar, raising glasses to press Wafer, the body of Christ, the perfect circle. Seamus Heaney sneaking in, leaving a bottle of whiskey on the table. John smiling uncomfortably in his winter coat, dreaming of 18 sailors to take him away on fair winds and following seas. Bill removed his glasses and looked skyward. Shocked when we last met in the Hammond Castle on 2/24/18/818 to celebrate the pure light passing of Garrett Lansing. Bill's body broken, his whisper waned as we hugged, and he slipped the last press wafer into my hand. That's Bill Corbett. Thank you. All right, this is Lou Welch, backwards Chalou-well. Chalou-well went to the well one too many times. He fell in and made no splash in the stillness of silent wishes. He walked backwards, ignoring the warning in the woods. The solar eclipse burning the shadow of his soul. He threw the bathwater out with the bather, into the raging stream of his conscious quest. He bid toodle-doo to his tool belt and tape measure. The yellow cab taxied down the runway, and the meter was running interference. You and your shotgun set your sights on the sun with a hair-trigger cosmic finger. Free of the wheel, safe sliding into home or heaven, whichever answers your knock at the door. Behind the mirror, the engraved stone reads in reverse, marking an empty grave. Trip, trap, trusted enemy kept close to the vest, in silent air-conditioned treaties, signed by the sealed fates. He damn well knew he was eternally damned. Chewed well the cosmic cud of the happy cow. He wore a tight-knit cap of the community that fell from a laughing monk's head, covering his slick-back mind black oil viscous thought that greased invisible pistons. He flew the coop with wings that sing in bulletproof nests. Chalou-well became the stream unconscious of the rage of mountains that sourced its tears. I also, another number poem, but this is kind of a feel-good, and it has a quote from Fanny, because we were talking about Harry Crosby, and she's talking about poets that are not known. So there's this occult feeling about Boston. There seems to be a secret door in this city that only certain people can enter. So I used it in this poem. 10/20/2020. On the morning of Arthur Rimbaud's 166th birthday, Tom Petty's 70th, I don't know why I threw that in there, a ternary day of 10s and 20s, amidst the chaos and the clamor of these times, Rimbaud and his alchemy of the word seem to be a secret door to a poetry that can transform us, if not save us outright, from the empty vessel we now sail aimlessly upon, on troubled waters, searching the horizon for the magic words that unlock the secret prize of a land undiscovered right under our feet. And I'll take a drink, and then I have a tendency of writing a poem on the 6th of June every year. I start at 666 for Garrett, and then but this year I was on the phone with Gabe, and this poem is for him. Poem for 6/6/25. The Ballad of Bailability. The sun hides between trees, its breath a humid hello. The sun machine is coming down, and there's daylight on the beach. Remember when we found that kid passed out? Even the cops couldn't wake him. Thought for sure he was dead as a doornail or an unjammed door. What is the price of personal independence when the Art Foundation asks you to cut your uncouth and disorderly beard and never come back from Montreal, period? Because if you do, they will question you at the checkpoint and at the homestead. Who needs questions when you have a beautiful girl singing in French, rolling around your head with the only answer acceptable? Dreads and beards have you dreading Monday, but you are still on the clock over the weekend. In fact, you are the clock, with both hands tied to the face and pointing towards heaven. The face of the clock wears a mask and asks you to remember the time. Do you remember the time? The time you painted the town brown? The time you surfed on the wishes of an entire generation? Polis is the polished knobs of people. Community exists only when we can rely on the other or each other or invisible brothers, shared the good bread that is buttered with the greasy palm of the patron saint of payments. When everything is taken care of, nothing is taken with care. Fishing for the same fish from the same rocks of a chasm with the same rainbow lures at the same time on the same broken mornings is hit or miss. And I miss them all.
Yeah.
Thank you. Gabe, that was for you. Thank you for the smatter. I wrote some more poems for 6/6, and I will share them with you now. There's a huge, I've told the story, but I like it. There's a huge rest stop in Beverly. It's the only one on 128 from Salem up. And I love it. It's huge. And it's got the biggest flag, and I pass it every time I go. I go fishing a lot, as I have hinted. But anyway, this is for that, the highway and for the rest stop. Yankee Division Highway, 6/6/19. In defense of the depth-charged frogman diving deeper to wire the water to explode. The day starts as an ocean and ends as a star. Waves of water and bands of light wash over the hours and shine the night. We are almost there if the rest stop is home, and it is. I celebrate the Beverly Rest Area, the only respite on the Yankee Division Highway, where Giles Corey took his shortcut through the Witch's Woods. He made such great time from Salem to Gloucester that it had to be sorcery and not a sensible route through the woods. The shortcut proved he was a warlock, and when they heaved boulders upon his chest to coax confession from his pressed lips, his only response was, more weight. And more weight was applied, and crushed Giles to death, but his spirit still lingers just beyond the rest stop, off Common Lane in the Witch's Woods. The winter wind, as it passes through the trees, whispers, more weight. The trucks at the rest stop idle with running lights aglow, humming a diesel tune for the Cape Ann boulders that labored his breath as it whistled away from his last words. Oh, God, thank you. And how about another 6/6 poem? Okay. Sunspots and smoke rings. In search of the Catherine Lane Deems chimney estate, I happened upon a statuesque deer standing frozen beside the pylons that forbid parking and sunbathing on hidden treasure beaches. The seventh wave on the longest day will be a flattening of the curve of love and the splintering plank of hate. I am the fire. I hear it in my ears. I throw myself into my work. I sound it out, a crackling of the soul that burns from the inside out. Sunspots and smoke rings I appear to be. And, one more, 6/6. My brother's father-in-law loved to power wash things, and I did it once, and I really enjoyed the power of the wash. So Ivan died, so this, and I really, anyway, water. Power wash, 6/6/20. Power wash the souls for Ivan, Mandy, and Greg. Ivan loved to power wash everything. A lobsterman gone out to sea to power wash the stars. I rid the deck of dark and dirty secrets with jets of holy water. Water that does not replenish. Water that removes any trace of time and buildup. I power wash the souls of lonely porches, removing lichen mold, and moss, but the laser focus of mindful water that cannot be imbibed, that cannot bless, but works wonders like a clean getaway. There you go. This one might take on different meaning. Toppled statues. Wrap a rope around a stiff reminder. Nothing comes down easy. You must have pull and an angle of approach to tear down the moment and build a new now. The carved mountain coming down, one of many monumental children. Make it come alive and die in a frenzied instant. Toppled statues fall with certain sadness in their stilted surrender. The majesty is lost in the grace of God's gravity. And the power is transferred from one thing to everyone. From metal to flesh, there is an electric exchange. Lightning in the assassin's scope, focusing on the unseen ocean of the people's wishes. If you're listening, you can hear the lines from my cento. So there you go. I go fish at the chasm. It's a very holy place. Willie knows his wife's come down a couple times. You should really go to the chasm sometime. Gabe's come several times. Many poets have come visit me there, and I have many beautiful, beautiful stories to tell. And this is one of them. Between the full moon and the rising sun, caught upon the rocks, a slippery place between the living moment and the dead dream. There lies between me the nocturnal soul of night's engine, orchestrating the dance and the music of the endless sea. Ahead, the gulls bring news of the coming light. The clouds are set aflame from underneath by the slight touch of the fiery fingertips of the praying, pointed hands of a new day. First, a blinking eye, and then, the blazing face of ecstasy. Behind me, the moon lowers its hollow shell upon the trees lined against the sky. The clouds are fields of rolling joy from which rises the royal white chariot led by glorious horses frozen in mid-gallop, heroically stoic in their conquering charge over immense distances. The copper shimmer of the wet rock shines between what is left of night and what is to become of the day, bathed in new light, dressed in wild white flowers of the clouds, between the full moon and the rising sun. This is for Bob Kaufman.
Yeah, Jim.
Yeah, Bob Kaufman, and it's folded sorrows. Spread out against the sky, they seem immense. The sky of blackbirds delivering their own version of an avian eclipse. Miles of beating wings, no measure. A circumference of infinity. There seems to be a secret door in the city that opens downward like a trapdoor to the bottom of all-encompassing, disheartening sadness. A laundromat lost in time that washes tears clean of their salty connection to the sea, where warmly waits the folded sorrows to be carried upstairs and put away. And two more, then I'll read a couple of my things I'm out of here. This is what it is, and please come visit me sometime. From May to November, I go fish 4:30 in the morning to 7:30. Religiously, almost obsessively. So if you're ever up in Magnolia, please pop by and say hi, me and my Brazilian friends. Fishing at the mouth of a chasm. Casting a prayer into the sea, standing upon the bare knuckles of the holy coast, the sea breathes around me, whispering her glorious secrets. There is ruthless danger in beauty, and there is ruthless beauty in danger. I catch a blessing in the foamy tide and throw it back into the sea. The sun cracks open the sky, and we're all doomed in the daylight. And I'll dedicate this to Garrett because he published this in Castle Grayskull.
That's right.
This is to the ghost of Gloucester. Ghoster Mass. Granite glistens in the golden glaze of receding tide. These rocks are slick reminders of how easy it all slips away. They're unmoving by daytime and drama of the pleading sea, pleading to see the specters dressed in the morning garb of birds in flight, standing and praying, some swooping and cursing, dip, dive, and peddle your desire for want of a better word, for want of a bitter sword. The cut cuts both ways. Why cross out when you can cross over? A myriad of mirrors. Pick your reflection carefully. Left-handed, left-holding, right-minded, right here. They are the mist the steam, the haze. They are the sea spray, the rain remnant, the dew. They are condensation, the beads of sweat, the tears. St. Peter's feast of fiesta, fisher of men, clamor of souls. Statues are crying, buildings are confused. Carry your patron saint under your eyelids to flash the sign of the cross when you roll your eyes. West meets east in the middle of the harbor. Paint factory, pain points, abandoned boats, abandoned hopes. There's nothing worse than seeing nothing there, but swearing that nothing you saw is a lighthouse of memories, lit up with the rotating eye of blinking experience. Ghost or mass harbors ghost ships, invisible deckhands, and men reduced to a name on their minds, floating like a golden thought of forgiveness to a deserving beach crowd watching the whale. There you go. I want to read this one here for Fanny. And I'll read a couple, and then we'll read this one, and then a couple from this, and I'm done. So I'll try to get under 20 minutes, so I'll be out. So Fanny left me a message, and then after Bob Weir died, I heard someone say that when someone dies, they turn into something else, like Ronald Reagan turned into an airport. So Fanny left this message, and she said, I'm turning into a parking garage. And so this is called Turning into a Parking Garage for Fanny. Hi, you missed me by a split second. I was turning into a parking garage, returning my rental car. It's Fanny, by the way. So I'm around. Hope to see each other one of these days. Bye. And this was a postcard I wrote to Bob Creeley from Fenway, across from Fenway Park. And I really love it. Hello, springtime. Springtime in the landmark building across the street from friendly Fenway, where I park my bones from morning till morning. I thought of you when I drove through West Acton, coming home from Belchertown after an all-night frosting. The Saints preserve us. Harness racing in Saratoga is exciting. The horses wear skirts to prevent full gallops. My lucky horse was Danzig, horse number 6. The natural spring soothes secret injuries with healing bubbles. I haven't got the faintest idea. Jack Wieners went down to the Stop and Shop to gather his humble groceries, passing out Percogesic pills to people he felt should have them, smoking an afternoon cigarette in the sun outside Brigham's, hand on his hip, bag draped over his wrist, gray hair pulled back into a ponytail held by a rubber band. Blue pinstripe shirt, belt too long, folded over in loops, dockers and penny loafers, dusty and faded. Postcards are on their way in the mail from the lighthouse in Cape May. The circular light in the encompassing night blinks at the end of New Jersey. Hawks take their flight over Sunset Boulevard. Sparrows scatter like feathered confetti. The lip of the sun, or is it the lid of the sun? Whichever. The day kisses and closes. There you go. For 10 years, I wrote these weird alphabetical poems, and it turns out the Abecedrian form is a very sacred form that I found out in the course of writing this. So I wrote a sacred book. I know it's 26 poems, and I wouldn't share them or do anything with them until I wrote 26, all 26 words each, and they're alphabetical. So be prepared. Only a few. Always been counting, days enlisted for God's help. I just knew love meant nothing. Oranges peeling quietly represent subtle tribulations, unmet vigorous wishes, exact year's zodiac. A battered champion declared, enlightened fists glow heavenward, invoking jousting night's lament. Mercy notice of paradise, quiet rendition softly transmitted, until vast worlds exude youthful zest. A billion cops. Yeah. A billion cops deployed, engaged for general harassment, inciting jackhammer kisses. Laced moon, nightly oozing prayers quickly returned. Sun-tinged ultraviolet waves, X-rayed, yellow jacket, zinger. Angry Bull's Cadence. Angry Bull's Cadence, dancing in rage, furious gallop, holy injuries. Jinx killer looms, measuring noon. Obscure pillars, queering rolling space. Time umbrella, vested women, excitedly yip, zowie. As below, As below, candles drip eternally, feigning glorious holy insinuations. Jack-o'-lanterns, mystical neon orbs, pulsating, quintessential reflections shine true. Universal vox wailing excessively, yodeling zippily. Angels billowing clouds, delights enveloping falling gnomes high in Jehovah's kitchen. Laughing moons navigate open passages quaintly, rambling streets universally vacant, warehouses expanding yesterday's zoomers. Always be calm. Always be calm. Don't ever flinch. Go home instead. Just know, light. Many nights of pleasure, quakes reverberating, sensual tremble, undulating vibrations, warbling, excited yardbirds' zestiness. Thank you. That's mine.
All right.
I'll go over that.
Alrighty.
All right, how you all doing? Thank you all for coming. Yeah, I will try not to bore you with too much preamble, but yeah, this is a big event for me because I grew up around here and used to come into Harvard Square, and you know, when I thought, oh, I'd like to be a writer, you know, it's like, well, you go here and drink coffee and look at books, and I just stumbled on the Grolier like at random, and I didn't know anything about poetry back then. And it's funny to be in the same room and just looking at, like, it's like I not only know what these books are, I know a bunch of the people. So it's a nice feeling. And I've never got a chance to read in Boston or Cambridge or anything, so I'm going to, and since I don't have a new book right now, I'm going to do a mild retrospective, so I can catch up on what you've missed. And we'll get the serious stuff out of the way first. I wanted to, my friend Julien Poirier, who is a co-founder of Ugly Duckling and a great poet in his own right, and he used to publish in the Bush administration years, published this thing called New York Nights, and we have some at the counter, and it's a it's kind of agitprop type of poetry zine, very maximum rock and roll, this sort of thing, and I wrote this poem. This is the most recent poem I wrote, so I feel like I should read it. And I wrote it after that guy got shot and killed in Utah, who I don't particularly want to say his name, so I won't. But and I wrote it over 5 days in September, and then it we're put this magazine together, and it takes a while, and you're like, is this going to even be a relevant thing? But obviously, with this past 3 weeks in Minneapolis, it's very relevant. And the real connection is about people trying to make you believe something that goes against the evidence of your own eyesight and brain, and so that's the kind of the impulse behind this this poem. It's not a celebration of this guy getting killed, but also fuck that guy. It's called Between You and Me. Between you and me, they're the ones with the guns. Between you and me, I have no empathy for an avowed non-believer in empathy. Between you and me, he argued the Second Amendment was to resist government tyranny. Between you and me, did his assassin not imagine he was exercising this right? Between you and me, these are his beliefs, not mine.
Between you and me, he believes some guns every single year are worth it. Between you and me, dude from the TV got shit canned for drawing a line from espousing those beliefs to getting shot in the neck. Between you and me, guns should be illegal, is what I believe. Between you and me, this is right on right violence. Between you and me, this wasn't about free speech until they made it about free speech. Between you and me, he was murdered by one of his own, and I'm supposed to mourn? Between you and me, there was a school shooting an hour later, Evergreen High School, Colorado. Between you and me, ICE killed an illegal so-called the next day. No half-mast for him. Between you and me, right-wing violence is already upon us. Our scruples don't mean shit. Between you and me, the United States president declared war on Chicago, and now Minnesota. Between you and me, this is already a war. Bodies are piling up. Between you and me, I'm against all this. Between you and me, I don't celebrate murder. Between you and me, I don't give a fuck he's dead. Between you and me, his last words were flippancies about mass shootings. Between you and me, I won't be think-pieced into lionizing goons or normalizing ghouls. You can take that hail fellow well-met shit all the way to CCOP. Between you and me, the left had shit to do with it. Stop acting so guilty. Stop taking the blame for MAGA on MAGA crime. Between you and me, the right does all the killing. Between you and me, who gives a fuck if he enabled fascism in some grandly principled way? Between you and me, it's like being the world's tidiest serial killer. Between you and me, the right doesn't care if we die. Between you and me, if you decry his killing and shrug off the murder of Silvero Villegas Gonzalez, you're a racist piece of shit. Between you and me, he's the first casualty of the war in Chicago. Between you and me, dude on the other TV called for killing the homeless and faced no consequences. 40-second apology. Between you and me, the governor of Utah says it's very clear this person was deeply indoctrinated with leftist ideology. Between you and me, I'm going to need some evidence for that, Lex. Between you and me, it's very clear he was raised in Utah by gun-toting white Christian Republicans. Between you and me, they put the gun in his hand. He's been shooting since childhood. Between you and me, he was radicalized from birth. Between you and me, his family took pics of him playing with bazookas and howitzers. Between you and me, Utah's right-wing legislature just began to allow open carry on campus 6 months ago. Between you and me, how do they think it's going? Between you and me, his widow claims he was killed because he preached a message of God's love. Between you and me, he was the absence of God, if God means anything. Between you and me, he was free to say transphobic, homophobic, racist, misogynist, fascist shit, and we're not free to say so. Between you and me, Camus Bell said it best. I won't be gaslit into pretending he was a saint in death when he was an awful person in life. Between you and me, they've canonized him to kill in his name. And I just ended with a little quote from, there was a study that the Department of Justice commissioned in 2024, and as soon as this event happened, they suppressed it. They took it off the internet. And a quote from this study, it's what the National Institute of Justice Research tells us about domestic terrorism. Militant, nationalistic, violent extremism has increased in the United States. In fact, the number of far-right attacks continues to outpace all other types of terrorism and domestic violence extremism. So, that poem just kind of wrote itself. It's not really the type of poem I write generally, but that's what came out. Actually, the next one I would like to do, just because it's difficult and I want to get it out of the way. This is a hard poem to read because it's rhyme generated by rhymes, and it's a little hard to know where to take breaths. But it's called Moist Aches, which was an autocorrect for mustaches. Put it in my phone once. Moist Aches. I'm Uncle Fester, the sullen jester, a mild molester of mobster gestures who just might touch you or contracept you across dimensions and cause dementia with my dentures, if I French you. You feel my censure for my suggestions for your lecture. Just call me Hector's big adventure when I ascend your agenda's fenders for years to lend you and mail to send you. That I failed to mention your beat is slender and I can't enter your shocking center. to break off extra intellection for your eventual comprehension. I put the stench in your scent collection to demand correction of your weak injection, to prevent infection from this next selection till the tension's too expensive and present tenses aren't free expenses. Your free expression exceeds the lesson that I'm confessing. I guess I reckon you best be getting out this Western before there's less incentive to rescue the skeptical nephews in sensible shoes whose special utensils aren't quite prehensile enough to question aggravation potential of recent inventions and indecent conventions and debut collections by creative collectives. Ain't very effective. I'm deeply offended by creepy objectives, so stand corrected, and just like Ted did, I'll be embedded in your remembrance, darker than Rembrandt's and lit like fluorescence. On the bare chance my striped pair of pants will merely enhance your appreciative stance on how essential my past is to your future endeavors. It's cute I engender your bastard's defenses. You come to my senses like you're at the dentist with jaws extended and paws all pensive in recollection. So I'm sorry invective is mostly projected by this formal directive. Syntactic progression by rhyme is aggressive. Is it inevitable I inherit the bullshit inherent to your artistic debits? I argue the merits, so you better accept it if I hand out demerits and give me some credit and some fucking respect, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, I was working on a book. I edit things for City Lights, and so I was working on a book of Ted Berrigan's prose, and it doesn't really have anything to do with it, but it's kind of an homage to Ted anyways, and dedicated to Anselm Eddy and Alice Notley. So yeah, I'm going to do a couple of old things, which I don't usually return to, but I thought this is a little book I did in Mexico with my friend Keith Schluter. Put this book together, and a friend of his translated it. It's called I was writing United States, and I got interrupted, and I ended up writing Unstated Nights, which I thought was a nice title. And Noches Apatridas is Unstated Nights in Spanish. And this one's from my first book, which was called The Garrett Caples Reader. And this poem's called Scenes in the Dark. 1. I twist my ankles into shoes and go for a low-down stroll with my always rings twice fedora and $1.50 lilac scent. I'm on my way to see my sweetie, and it's 1940 late, after the war, and the sky is brimming over with all my cascading potential. Sweaters kept us warm in their fleecy dyed blue wool. I have a scarf and a straw hat and a pennant, waiting to wave them in the face of my gal. She's quite a shot of water. We're waiting for Cassius Clay to rise into prominence, and then we'll go to the fights dressed in style. It may be a decade away, but we'll wait for it. And with it will come new accoutrements in all their finery. Hemlines will drop, and the fall line will bring in wider lapels, the shambling usher of taste and hate. I'll teach her how to drive, and won't be funny when she backs into the lake. Crazy lady, I'll say. Oops, she'll shrug her minty shoulders. But secretly, each of us is harboring identical fears of a fanatical time, bound to hurl us into schism. What will we be wearing then? Figskin pants and Dixie cup dresses? Swirling mitochondria with their Stygian boots? It's bound to be something of that sort. Something terrifying and exciting all at once. 2. We, my dear, are the legendary hearts, not the wax and sawdust replicas of an earlier time. It is we, here and now, among the silent and watching. Don't stop too long, they'll start to ask questions, but we're panting from the cramps in our side. It's time to lie down and rest among the roadside thistles and stroke each other's hair and hope they all pass by. 3. The feel of your smooth, cold belly beneath the brushing of palms, the hand beneath your yellowing underpants, the coarse and wiry bite of strawberry seeds between our teeth. This is evolution for you. The marzipan of that princess cake we ate last night. It was a cake from another era, you said, and we stretched our arms back towards the gray flannel suit and the chiffon ball gown behind the museum's glass case. We were suddenly back in St. Petersburg, a couple of maskers loitering, red-faced and sweaty, ogling the host collection of rhinos by Fabergé. You pinched my ear and whispered, one day we'll live like this, just as I was thinking bohemian love. Silly the things we tell ourselves, but it'd be worse if we wrote them down. 4. I bought her some raspberry ice cream. It was a precious thing to do to the princess and the pea. I came to her apartments at midnight and made dark love to her, wrapped in a silky sheet of material whose exact composition I do not know. But how I remember the scent. Blue poppies, was it not, thieved from the remotest peaks of Africa? The scent enveloped me, and I felt I was floating, pampered by clouds and bowing servile attendants. De Quincey used to feel like this, I'm sure, depending on the dampness of his cushions. If we never met again after that night, I would have gone through the rest of my life with an atomizer made of onyx and full of this scent, in a diamond closet on a diamond pillar. Here I would have stolen every night afterward for one squeeze of its bulb, to live the night over again. Okay. So, that's just one of the earliest poems I kept from about 1998. And this is from my second book. It's called I Have Seen Enough, and it's dedicated to Philip Lamantia, who was a great poet that I was lucky enough to meet. I always kind of identified with Jim when we met because he was really good friends with John Wieners and used to drive him around and go to readings and such. And Philip had a brief sort of period near the end of his life where he was out and about, and we were taking him places and blowing people's minds. And it was like, pretty formative for me as a poet. And he died in 2005, and I wrote this. Inside his apartment, where he and I smoked the roach of his age in my youth for the first time since he died, examining his papers. As if on cue, the toilet explodes. The plumbing is Victorian, he'd say apologetically, instructing a guest not to flush. Only he had the right touch. I have seen enough, written on a page dated 7 years, 2 days before his death. The odor of the place clings to my clothes, the way it pervaded his books, a compound of tobacco and indefinable fragrances. For the rest of the day, I attract birds. Pigeons roost on my lap, a rooster runs by, a quartet of wild parrots buzz me mid-thigh at high speed. All this in downtown San Francisco. Surreality is real. Even a sparrow nearly bumps into me. Another sits next to me, contemplating me. She tells me a story. They were walking in a park when they saw 2 killdeer mating in the grass, suddenly swallowed by a lawnmower. And here are the letters he wrote to the superintendent of parks, and the poems against the lawnmower. Sometimes the pages seem effortless, stretching into passages exuberant and harrowing. There were years he didn't write, yet you'd never know it seeing his papers arranged in decades. These are poet's ashes, volcanic and smoldering still. To lose this scent is to enter permanent exile. I'll take it on Philip's behalf. I'll read this one. This sort of begins with a line from a song by David Meltzer, who was a poet and a musician who was in a group called Serpent Power in the late 60s. And the poem's called Love is Made of Sky, and has a line in it that John Ashbery took and used as an epigraph for one of his poems. So that was kind of a career high. Love is Made of Sky. Love is a movie we watch ourselves in, a film we wash ourselves in, a sky that looks askance at the lack of scandalousness and even the most licentious thought. The song of the beleaguered dispatcher herding taxis together, or the hiss of inflatable ramps sliding down desire. Love is a cloud in the sky that's also love. I remember today like it was yesterday. I open the door and there stands Love ready to get down. And I'm like, whoa, we just met. Love's like, I don't care. Love has a history of such indiscretions. A baby wailing on an electric 5-string banjo during a piano recital in the library of a red-eyed flight to Boston could no more disconcert than love when love comes to town on a fine Arab Charger or even a Budweiser Clydesdale. Love drives whatever it wants and frankly prefers something furrier than the average fuzzy dice. The velvet cheesesteak apple pie of the snowbound Vermont mind is dismissed by love as missing the point of the needle, its flawless tenderness and penchant for cool appraising stares below the roof of its wool hat horizon. Love instead noodles Nile Delta blues at 79 RPMs. The RPGs of love explode at the antipodes of St. Dope Island and Carnal Canal, for love wreaks magic havoc with the music of public life. Love loves it when love does it, because love is a moonlit boxing glove giving the finger to violence. A sky we look upon that tumbles and falls, and a bright blue sun in the sky. Love is a risky sky. All right. So those last couple were from my second book called Complications. This is my third book called Power Ballads. And let's see.
Is the Mad Diva poem in there?
What's that?
Mad Diva or the Diva?
Oh yeah, I have a divas in here. I'll probably read that.
Sorry, just checking.
Let's see. I got one or two in here. Where'd it go? I'll start with Avid Diva just because it's here. I saw somebody with a lanyard that was all twisted up, and I thought it said Avid, which I thought was very weird. But I realized it probably said Diva, and it was backwards, you know, because it was like one of those sewn lanyards. I thought Avid Diva was a phrase. Avid Diva, visit me. Dispense divine advice, O radiant deviant. Evidence of violence rivets my vivid dive. Addictive desire violates me. Drives my rivers in reverse, revives my velvet revolution, revs my vacuum cleaner that died, veils my veins with unbelievable sleeves, divides evening into eternities laced with invisible sleep. My valves go viral, my values on vacation, my vultures counterclockwise. They prey on my vices, the liver rippers. The wind invents voices on the wing to whisper livid prayers above my vibrating window. Listen, Avid Diva, I have a hive nearby to invite you to. A hovel I've chosen close to the oval of love. Run up my vacant stairs, invade my ventilation shaft and fill my vats with quivering liquid. Video my Elvis selves in silver Levi's swiveling. Vote in my next erection. Save me, Avid Diva, in advance of the broken arm. Advocate for the victim who avoids your eyes to envision the void devour his heart. Provoke my vital signs. I survive just in time for you to give it to me, leaving me heaving in tears of repulsive beauty. I'm not Vegas or Jesus. I'm recovering belief in the everyday rave against time. Days I want to live, days I want to die, days I'm the luckiest man alive.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm forgetting where my poems live. And this is the most recent book of poems I've done called Lovers of Today, which is a bard. Well, I'll read the explanation, which is the first poem. It turns out it's a song by the Pretenders, I think. But it's a bar. Well, Lovers of Today is the name of the bar on the Lower East Side where the bartender pours drinks for free after I've run out of cash. And I wake the woman from Airbnb at 4 a.m. because I can't unlock the door and make phone calls I won't remember. Whee! Cape House in New York. 2 nights later, much more sober, fall on the pavement in Brooklyn. Manage not to break anything, though it hurts like hell in the morning, and my wrist hurts today as I type. And I buy a book at 12th and First by D.A. Levy, and I buy a book at Mask by Meltzer, and I buy a book at The Strand by Nicholas Breton, Gentleman, and I eat a bacon, egg, and cheese and wonder why it can't be done in San Francisco. A million reasons, but that's what makes viable travel under late capitalism. And I miss Anselm and John Coletti and Alan Gilbert, though we speak, and catch Picasso and Lamont Young, and the night I fall I'm reading poems by Wieners and Lima with Anthony Cedar and Joshua, and that's what makes that town the best. This one's called Willie Alexander. Willie Alexander deserves his own poem. Alex Chilton of Boston, T-Rex of Triceratops, Johnny Thunders without the misogyny, Moe Masterpiece, Mambo Sun, Punk influenced by his own garage band. As old as Mick Jagger. What's lost and remains. Invective against gin misinterpreted. Rock and Roll 78, Harry James, Rhodes Piano, Die of Lasting Bleed. I attribute my feelings to him the way you do to songwriters. Dirty Eddie don't care at all about Marilyn Monroe, Joe DiMaggio. Stole Taxi Stand Diane from Jeepster. Some kind of car reference there. Thankless Task, a Boston rocker. Aerosmith, The Cars, Jay Giles. Boston Till Tuesday, Morphine. Mighty Mighty Bosstones. Scruffy the Fucking Cat. Got my kicks on V66. The Martin Lovers, Harvard Square, The Grolier, Algiers, The Brattle. A hush is holding its breath, Vincent Ferrini said. Life is the poem. I hope so. That's hilarious. I didn't even know the Grolier was in this poem. So yeah, maybe I'll just do a few more new things. Kind of in one of those lost periods of trying to figure out what to do as a writer, as a poet. But this one. This is called Crim Fiticism, and it has a epigraph. Sidekick, Karloff, fuck you. That's Bela Lugosi and Ed Wood. In the movie of the poem, the title role is played by Peter Lorre, somewhat worse for wear. Vincent Price plays the narrator, what we used to call speaker of the poem. Lenore is Hazel Court, graduate of the rank organization School of Charm. Boris Karloff arrives from an entirely different, probably better film. Jack Nicholson is Peter Lorre's son to their mutual dismay. The poem itself noticeably silent on the role of Rexford Bedloe, but that's the least of our concerns regarding fidelity to an adaptation dreamt up to exploit a French-trained raven. Looking at you, Roger Corman. Boris Karloff runs off with Nicholson into the terror, but somehow ends up in Bogdanovich's targets. In Night Tide's involved in a double bill distribution deal. Kurt Harrington brings Garrett Lansing into the picture via Kenneth Anger. It climaxes in a duel between two seated old men gesticulating. Peter Lorre is hammered. I wish I was. Maybe I am. Love Boat theme in the background. Coppola is brought in to reshoot a few scenes. Brings Jack Hill with. I could watch Ray Milland bury himself all day, frowning in a top hat, painting in a cravat. Pretty soon you'll wish you were the guy who died in the burning gorilla suit. Once read Vincent Price, clearly voiced by Christopher Lee for some reason, gets through with you. Crossbow to the neck's gonna hurt. Sword in the guts, hot cross to the tit. Why should you be afraid to die? Your soul has been dead a long time. You must risk being the villain to be the hero, Peter Lorre said. And that was, I went on that was a marathon viewing of the 7 Edgar Allan Poe films that Roger Corman made, including one of The Raven. And there aren't too many feature-length films based on poems, so I thought it was funny. Something I wrote for Clark Coolidge called No Wall. I didn't know him, but we clicked up for the next available cataclysm, cupping a match to peer into a tank of unidentified fluid, fully aware of the ruin. It's the second or third war this week, the umpteenth school shooter. A gag order with curly fries stabs its way through its own pain management. I don't eat that kind of bread. I disclosed to the naked discotheque, its asshole twitching in puzzlement. I meant to be an arsonist, but when I grew up instead of a businessman. But I left my heart in public next to the service elevator. I put the floor on top of the roof because I didn't know what to do with it and shouldered the sliding door open like I was carrying a cake to a neighbor. He looked at me like we were insane, and there was some comfort in that. The way there's some comfort in a log cabin when it's between that and outside. The devil and the deep bluesy wail across the canyon stretch one elastic note till the pitch begins to bend out of shape. A silly putty cement mixer, dunking bagels and mashed potatoes. Someone beat this squid with a hammer till it became delicious, voluminous and luminous. We picked our way through the maze all the same because we had no choice besides momentum, the way you scratch through a tear in the wallpaper only to find no wall. What else we got in here? That's a poem I wrote called Asking for a Friend. It begins with a quote from another poet. I miss my friends and their old versions. Right, I mean, sure, I'm not who I was. I tiptoe on roller skates for needless difficulty on the stairs of whatever stage of capitalism this is. Sure, health insurance is killing me. Even Luigi Mangione can't fix it with the feel-good murder of the decade. Sure, I got lists of symptoms. Baby's first pill organizer. Why can't I wake to two particulars with creely virility? Instead, I'm in this universe, wondering where Luigi's Dylan is, and why you cling to the wrong thing. Living the poem, you call it. It looks like something else. Madness is a risk, not a goal in our line of work. A million motherfuckers see shit that ain't there every day in this city. It ain't no thing, man. I need a drink just to look at you. Dusted and just motherfucking disgusted. Why can't your vanity extend to a shower? You walk around caked in blood. You think you can trick God on technical grounds. A God that dumb ain't worth belief. Look, I get that you want to die. I don't know why you want to live like this. Okay. How we doing? We got a little more time? Or? Yeah. Okay.
40 water.
Yes. Okay. I think I'll end just because it's funny, and this is about a 6-minute sequence. I've been working on a novel, not a novel, a novella, and partly because I realized, like, to make your poetry and your friends' poetry to survive, you need to have a kind of prose accompaniment, because people like to read about poets more than they like to read poetry. So taking a leaf from Kerouac kind of late in life here. But I started writing this novella because I got into a little dust up with another guy in the publishing world who's trying to pull a fast one on me. And I'm turning it into a vampire story. And this is called The Vampire of the Chelsea. And the Chelsea Hotel in New York. And what you need to know for this scene is my opponent in this battle is in the book is named Reynard Foyle. And I'm trying to figure out what his I'm sent by vampire hunters to go deal with him, kill him, and I go to the Chelsea to try to figure out where he lives. I kind of struck out at the front desk, but then I go to the bar and bump into Bob Dylan. The first indication I wasn't alone in the alcove stemmed from the long scrape of a wooden match, followed by the hiss of combusting sulfur. I opened my eyes to see a flash of flame illuminate the face of a gaunt old man with a pencil mustache and an improbable mop of dark curls lighting a cigarette. He lowered the match and lit a candle on the table, illuminating the shadowy corner of the alcove where he sat. Looking me directly in the eye, he dropped the match on the carpeted floor with ostentatious unconcern and stomped it out with the heel of a gray cowboy boot. The ash of his cigarette blazed as he took a long drag, which he proceeded to exhale in an alcove-filling cloud. Just then, an unambiguously uniformed waiter, dressed like a purser on the Love Boat, emerged through the billows of smoke, bearing my whiskey on a small tray. He set it down on the marble table so it was level with my knees, and I felt sure I'd accidentally knock it over before the end of the chapter. Then he disappeared into the fog with nary a word or glance at the old man, who continued to puff away freely, crossing a knobby pair of naked knees below blue Everlast trunks. He wore an old gray hoodie with the sleeves ripped off, and the word "The Bard's Gym" emblazoned on it. A pair of boxing gloves draped over his shoulders completed the ensemble. He let his cigarette smolder in the ashtray while he poured whiskey from a bottle labeled Heaven's Door into a Heaven's Door branded glass already filled with a single Magritte-like ice cube. Without looking up, he began to speak in a voice that I could only describe as froggy. "How are you?" he asked me, and I asked it the same of him. "You can smoke in here?" I added. He glanced up at me sharply before returning his attention to the pour. "I reckon I can do as I please in this here saloon," he gargled. He finished pouring his drink and then raised his glass. I raised mine to salute in turn, noticing my Heaven's Door branded coaster for the first time. "You have blood in your eye," he said. He took a noisy sip of his drink. I downed half mine in a single gulp and set my glass back on the table. "You're a stranger in these parts," he said. "Just passing through." It was like a table read for a bad western. I tried to follow the script. "I'm looking for a man named Foyle, Reynard Foyle. You know him?" "The Tin Fox?" the man answered. "I mean, who doesn't, or at least around these parts? I don't know him, if that's what you're asking." "Knock it off, Bob. I know it's you." "Me, sir?" he said, sounding surprised. "Why, I'm just a humble distiller." "You're Bob Dylan, and you must know Foyle. He published your book, Laud, the revival sermons of Bob Dylan." "Word around the campfire is that deal weren't exactly strictly legal," Dylan replied. "Personally, I don't have a strong opinion either way." "Stop fucking with me, Bob. Just give me his apartment number and I'll be on my way." "You've confused me with some other hombre," he said. "I'm here on business, plying my wares like an honest man." He set a briefcase on his lap and opened it. An avalanche of Heaven's Doors coasters and trifolds fell out. He kicked through the pile with his cowboy boots, sending a small metal object in my direction. I reached down and picked it up. It was a harmonica. "So what's this, then?" "Man's gonna pass the time," he said resentfully. "Gets mighty lonesome some nights by the still." "God damn it, Bob. I don't have time for your bullshit." "Careful, stranger," he said, springing to his feet. "Them's fighting words where I come from, and I happen to be a practitioner of the sweet science." He backed this assertion up with a slow flurry of shadowboxing and a vague stumble serving as footwork. I sighed. "Look, Bob," I said, "just give me the number. Don't make me shake it out of you." "All right, whippersnapper, you asked for it." He began bobbing and weaving in my direction. I didn't like where this was headed. Despite not seeing him live since 1991, despite the altogether random selection of his records I owned, I still considered myself a fan. I didn't want to fight a guy in his 80s. Besides, Eddie would never forgive me. It's Eddie Bergen, who's a big Dylan fan. I suppose I could have fled easily enough, but I really wanted that room number, so I sat still on the divan, hoping against hope he would wear himself out before he reached me. It was not to be. After parrying a series of non-existent jabs, he got within striking distance and smashed a bony fist into my forehead. It hurt. I got mad. I stood up, lifted him off his feet, and tucked all 5-6 of them under my arm. I ducked out a nearby door, stepped into the narrow corridor, into the phone booth-sized men's room, and shut the door behind us, drawing a discreet veil over this painful episode, of which I remain ashamed. Now, I'm not saying I didn't rough him up a bit, though he tagged me a couple of times and he kneed me in the nuts before it was over. Nor will I confirm grabbing him by the scruff of the neck and shoving his face into the toilet, threatening to flush. At one point in the fracas, I may have even said something to the effect of, "This is for what you did to Went to See the Gypsy," which is unfair. But suffice to say, he coughed up the number, put him back on his feet and brushed him off, untangled his boxing gloves and led him back to our alcove. The check was on the table next to my drink. I gathered up my things while Dylan sat in his chair with a towel over his head, applying his cold whiskey glass to his left eye like a compress. I saw the harmonica on my table, picked it up and placed it on his. "I'm sorry, Bob," I said. He shook open his pack of cigarettes with one hand, pulled one out with his mouth, and leaned over the candle to light it. Then he exhaled another huge cloud of smoke. It's okay, stranger, he said, with a grimace that may have contained a hint of a smile. I like a good fight. Say, Bob, it suddenly occurred to me to ask, you're not a vampire, are you? He drew open his towel like it was a set of curtains and looked up at me. No, sir, he said. If anything, I'm Mina Harker. Everyone's got their teeth in me. He retreated behind his towel as if to say our audience was at an end, and took the hint. I picked up my shoulder bag to leave and knocked over the rest of my whiskey. Thank you very much. Good enough notes hand on. And please be aware, if you haven't got one yet, we made posters that we didn't have time to hang up. So if anyone wants a commemorative poster designed by my friend Jeff Millen, please take one.
Thanks for coming, man.
We've got some posters, as Garrett says. We want to thank you, Jim. Thank you, Garrett, for the beautiful readings tonight. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Willie, for your excellent opening remarks. Those were incredible. Thank you for being here tonight. It's an honor to be in your presence. And thank you to all of you for being here this evening. Thank you to everyone on Zoom. And we have some books for sale. Again, there are posters here. And if everyone could please put their chairs up against one of the walls, I'd be very grateful. Thank you so much.